use hierarchy in your navigation to simplify and focus. This goes back to what you were saying about all the little different ways to contact you, all the buttons in the header. A lot of times when people are building their websites, they think that the more options they give people, the top level options, the better. And that's not true. It can confuse people, and it can become overwhelming to look at, say, like 10 different navigation items, and it all kind of blurs together. And my philosophy is no more than 6. More than 6, and you're giving people too many things to do, and there are probably things that can be nested underneath. Okay, so like an example might be if you've got all kinds of different kinds of resources. So like, we've got our podcast. We've got our
we've got the history of the company.
History of the company. We've got about us. We've got downloadables. We've got the blog. We've got news updates.
And then we've got 5 services pages.
Right. So a lot of those, you got service pages. They can be nested under services. You've got blog, downloadables, podcasts, whatever. Those can be nested under resources, and so on. So take a look at your navigation and aim for 6 or less navigation items, and that's really going to help the user, orient themselves and get where they're going without becoming overwhelmed with too many options.
Yeah, and something I like is if I have to pick what to focus on with that real estate of the top nav, I strongly favor highlighting the major services categories. So, and anything that's about us or blog or resources or jobs or any other types of us information, not service information, I think all that stuff can be jammed under one item in the top nav. I really don't think people are interested. They're not there for the history of your company. They're not there. The blog may be a resource, and it may attract people to the domain and help lift the domain in search engines, but it's not something people need to get through to get to what they're trying to do. So often we'll have 2 to 3 major services categories in the top nav and devote as much of the real estate to that services side, because that's what people are there to solve their problems. You want to make it as user-centered as possible.
And the bigger you get, I think the bigger you get, the more the about and leadership becomes irrelevant.
Yes.
And you can start to put that in the footer.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's one of the hardest things for a company when they're about 5 to 10 years old, and especially when they feel like they have some history to tell. They want real estate to get that story across. And it's just hard, but nobody cares.
And then eventually it just goes off to investor relations.
Yeah, and then it's just investor relations. Yeah. But footer, I think that's a good point. You can move a lot of that stuff to the footer, and folks are smart. They know header, footer, and they can do that. They're just not going to slow down to do it in the pace that you want them to.
Yeah.
Great. This has been episode 45, Dodgeball Marketing Podcast, SEO Basics. If you are enjoying this content, please follow us at Dodgeball SEO on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn to access new episodes, marketing resources, and more. Thanks for listening and watching and being a part of this. We love you guys.
We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.